Hey y'all, it's Ren of Taurus Rising back with you again for our weekly wellness tarot reading. And today we continue our Fool's Journey series. And if you're new here, if you haven't seen the previous ones, just to do a little recap, we're going through the Fool's Journey. And the Fool's Journey is a journey through the major arcana cards, starting with the Fool through the World. And essentially we're looking at the energy behind each card in the Fool's Journey and how you can apply it to your life today. And the Fool's Journey really is about kind of these universal experiences that we go through in Earth School, and that's what we're working through. So the Fool's Journey of the major arcana cards, but using each card in the journey and applying the energy of that to our lives today. And today we are working on the Emperor. And the Emperor, well, you can see it here. By the way, the Emperor is, this one is from the Radiant Rider-Waite deck, but we'll be using a different deck, the Ethereal Visions, for the actual reading. But I just wanted to have the Emperor card. So the Emperor, if we're talking about like masculine, feminine energy, not gender, but just that energy of masculine being action and feminine being receiving, and more intuition. The Emperor is a very more of an action masculine card. And the Emperor represents boundaries and structure, sort of like rules, following rules. We need to have rules and structure for grounding. There needs to be some sort of universal or some sort of system. So it's sort of rules and systems that we work in, just like we need to follow traffic rules and we need to have boundaries like bedtime, things like that. So thinking boundaries, expectations, things like that. Also like the father, like a fatherly figure is part of the energy of this card. So it's very like masculine action, but also about boundaries, structure, and things like that, keeping things contained. So our question is, where do we need the Emperor energy today? And as I've been doing, I'm just going to pull one card and then maybe pull more, just depending on what comes up. And just a reminder, this is a collective reading, not an individual reading. So if you, so it may not all resonate. And if you want an individual reading, you can reach out to me and on my website or on my Instagram. But we'll get to that later. So shuffling here, asking where do we need Emperor energy in our lives today? I'm feeling called towards, let me move it around a little bit. This one, okay, what do we got? Oh, interesting. We have another major arcana card that we have not touched on yet with our Fool's Journey series. This is the Tower. As you can see, someone is falling from a tower. And also you can see that this person, their mask is falling off. It's coming loose, like they're wearing a mask and it's coming untied. So the tower is, the energy of the tower is like a rock bottom or something big happening, which shakes you, like maybe changes your whole life, changes maybe how you see things. And usually it's very painful or at least disorienting. And then eventually that is but it's the reason why is it's like the universe shaking you up is to get you into something more aligned for you. Like this could be like a tower moment in your life, could be like a breakup or losing your job. And that leads you to finding a more authentic path. And maybe you were masking and things really maybe were okay, but they weren't great. They weren't like how you really wanted them to be. And so the universe is like, okay, well, I'm going to shake things up in, the tower. And then you get knocked out of the tower. And some cards, some decks, they'll have like lightning strike. I guess there's some lightning there too. But it looks a little bit different, or the tower is like crumbling. But the energy is like a big shakeup that's getting you to something more aligned, like a big wake up call, a spiritual awakening, if you will. But usually it's something shaking you up, like a big break, like a breakup, job loss, something big. Maybe sometimes not as big, but something that really shakes you up to bring you to what you really need to be doing. So it seems like we need some emperor energy and a big change. Like maybe you are going through a rock bottom, or like that you need to change. Sometimes the tower, it's I've heard this saying that when you get a tower in your reading, it's like, okay, you really need to make some big changes before something happens to change things for you. So you could either be proactive about the change or you could be reactive about the change. So what I'm kind of getting is like there's some sort of big change a coming, you know, maybe in your life, maybe collectively, maybe something big is going on. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world, but there's some sort of big thing that's either happening or going to happen or already happening. Maybe you're even feeling into it, and we need to have some sort of plan and structure to manage it. There needs to be some sort of plan, maybe an action plan, like maybe you work somewhere and layoffs, there's rumors of layoffs or something like that, and maybe you're needing to like really have some plans around that. Maybe you need to like brush up your resume, or you just need to have some sort of plans or structures for yourself to set yourself up for success. Or maybe you need to have better spending habits or something like that, or have just more boundaries with yourself just in case something big is going to happen. Or maybe, let's say, I'm just kind of veering towards money right now. I don't know, money and career. Maybe your spending is being out of hand. Maybe you've been collecting debt and things are adding up and you've been kicking the can down the road, and it's going to get to a point where it's unmanageable, and you really need to have some boundaries and structure versus like, oh well, I'll deal with it tomorrow. There needs to be some sort of awakeness and plan and proactiveness around a big change that's either happening or going to happen. Maybe you've already experienced it and you're putting your head in the sand and you're in denial. Like no, I don't want to look at that today. Maybe later. But you really need to start looking at it and having some structure or something. Maybe you went through a breakup and you're going through your depression, eating ice cream, watching Netflix phase, and you really need to do something different, like get up and have some sort of structure for yourself, because that's actually what's going to be grounding and like kind for yourself. So a big change. If you have a big change in your life coming, happening, or has happened, there needs to be some sort of plan. And sometimes it's not your fault. Like sometimes maybe something happened that wasn't your fault, and maybe you're in a resentment phase, but whether it was your fault or not, you still are the one that you have to be in charge of what's next for yourself. So some sort of not rigid, but some sort of structure. Sometimes when the emperor is reversed, it's more of like, it's like there's too much rigidness, but maybe you need a little more rigidness. Maybe you've been too soft with yourself and you actually need some firmness with yourself, firmness and boundaries. Just like you would take care of a child who's growing, they need a bedtime. They need good nutrition. They can't be staying up all day and having cake for breakfast. Like you need to have those like nice grounding and structures for yourself, especially in lieu of a big change or something that's like a big shakeup. So doubling down on structure and taking care of yourself in a firm but kind way. Waking up versus denying. So that's the energy I'm getting from these cards. So as I like to do, I'm going to pull a second card. So we have our tower. I'm putting tower over there. Okay, let's see. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the thing where I put them all together and pull the card underneath. Oh, the Six of Swords. I feel like maybe I read this in a personal reading, but I feel like this card's come up recently. So Six of Swords. As you can see, and it's reversed. This person is kind of going away from something towards the great unknown. Yeah, the great unknown. Maybe there's some mountains back there, but it's looking like they're going more further out to sea. And six represents really harmony and peace. Like that's, and what's that? The energy behind that number, harmony, maybe even nostalgia. And water is emotion, so there's water here, but then also swords represents thoughts and information. So it sounds like there's a time there needs to be some sort of sitting with yourself and having some sort of structure, routine, boundaries around sitting with yourself. Like maybe you have been avoiding it and you really need it. Like you need to go carve out like structured quiet time for yourself, either at the end of the day, maybe in the morning for 5 minutes, and you need it to be with your thoughts. Your thoughts and your emotions. There's a need for like inwardness and maybe looking at some things. Like I said, the great unknown, like maybe you've been avoiding some things that are scary and you need to look at it and you need to have some structure around that. Maybe that even means having therapy or some sort of structured way to look at it if it's too much. Therapy or coaching or mentorship or talking to someone that you trust. But I'm leaning more towards like professional, like maybe especially if you had a really big tower moment in your life, like grief, breakup, job loss, and you've been trying to do it on your own and you're swimming and you're out there and you just don't feel grounded, you feel like untethered. Maybe there needs to be some sort of other level of structure, like some sort of support, some sort of structured help, or even just structure with yourself. So that is our Emperor reading. Sorry, you might hear my computer dinging at me. I thought I put it on Do Not Disturb, but I guess I didn't. All right. I hope that reading was supportive for you. To do another quick little recap, the Emperor is about structure and boundaries. And in this reading, we got the Tower, which is like a big upshake in your life. And there needs to be some sort of boundaries and structure with how you address this, either whether it's happened or it's happening. There need to be, you need to have a proactive and grounded approach versus like a reactive approach and maybe head in the sand approach. And then maybe you're really feeling lost and swimming and you need to find some sort of harmony within, and maybe grappling with your thoughts and emotions and taking time to separate and just time to reflect and really look at what's going on and potentially even getting support with that, like outside support with a therapist or something like that, who could maybe create some structure around it for you. All right. Hope that was helpful and supportive for y'all. Once again, if you want an individual reading, you can reach out to me. Go to my Instagram, it's just Taurus Rising, or my website, taurusrising.com. Be mindful of the spelling. Rising is R-Y-Z-I-N-G. And I hope to see you soon. And if not, I will see you here next week for our weekly Wellness Tarot reading. We will be continuing the journey through the Fool's Journey. I'll see you then. Bye.